Mic check, mic check. Let's check this mic real quick before we get started. Hold on, give me 1 second. Let's check this mic real quick before we get started. Hold on, give me 1 second. There we go. Let's check this mic real quick before we get Adrian. All right, I think we good. Trying to get a stable connection, guys, so bear with me for a little bit. I'm trying to work on a connection real quick because I can see the connection is going kind of in and out. But what is going on, everybody? It's your boy POLK over here on 863 Seminole TV. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Oh yeah, man, my connection seems to be going in and out. But anyway, man, we're gonna do the best we can, and sooner or later, man, we're finally gonna be in a more stable environment. But for now, this is what we got to deal with. So what's going on? Florida State, Seminole Nation, and the 863 tribe. What is going on with you guys, man? Hey, we're gonna do a roll call real quick here in a minute. But man. There is a lot to cover tonight. There is a lot to cover, but Saturday night, we about to get it in as we always do. And before we get started, man, let's go through a roll call. And then we're going to get started I know there's a million things everybody want to talk about. By the way, I'm not watching the UFC fight. You guys kind of know I'm kind of like a casual UFC watcher, so not really watching that one. So y'all keep me updated what's going on there. But we got Till Dog in the building. Chris Robinson say on the Orlando check-in. Mama, Tyrone Oliver, Tyler Head, both members of the 863 tribe. John White, Hurricane Kilo, Island Boy, FSU Tony, and Peter Shields, members of the 863 tribe. Ray Fitty, Raul Torado, Michael Gaines, Panama Jack, Priscilla, Brandon Brazier, Hypnotic, BJ, Boxing Monster, member of 863 tribe, Black Shear, E-Dub, I Buy Mutt Packs, all right, New King, NFU, member of the 863 tribe, Mario Krista Goat, Jay Adams, Montre, James Timmons, Todd Pope, Serve 5, member of the 863 tribe, and Central Texas Kane says Harker Heights in the building. Harker Heights in the building for sure. For sure. Hey man, we gotta look like we might have a little loaded, Ocala, Florida. Hit the like button. Tell them, Todd, hit the like button. Share the video, man. Let them know we live. We might have a packed house here tonight. A lot of things to go over. A lot of people want to talk. 1 second. Let me see if anybody would like to join. But yeah, man, let's not waste no more time. First and foremost, since the last time we talked, we gotta address recruiting. We've got to address who Florida State has been able to land on the recruiting trail. And one is DeMarco Ward, linebacker out of Georgia. They're calling that, a Randy special. Take that for what you will. Not gonna waste too much time on him. I hope you wish him the best, man. You hope he's good. But he's a you. I'm gonna just say this: he's Eubanks-ish, in my opinion. But we'll see what we eventually get out of him. If when it's all said and done, we'll see what happens there. But he's a little bit Eubanks-ish, from my opinion, from what I see. I'm not sure what Randy sees in him, and I got to be honest with you. The Randy thing that we thought the Randy thing was gonna improve that linebacker recruiting, and it ain't improving it so far. And then of course you hear my co-host in the back acting crazy. Give me 1 second. But yeah, man, DeMarco Ward. I don't know anybody else's thoughts on him. I try to be positive, y'all. I try to be whatever on that end when it comes to that. But yeah, I don't really see. I don't know what you guys see in DeMarco, but I don't really see it, and that's just me. The big get, the one that made everybody jump up and down and jump for joy, was Roderick Kearne at Orange Park, Florida, 6'4", 300-pound interior offensive lineman. My bad, cut out. John West is a linebacker with speed. I mean, I guess we'll see. I don't, I guess that's the most optimistic we can be about that one. I guess. But Roderick Kearne is the big get. That was the guy that committed basically in the UF parking lot right after his official visit, and so that made everybody feel good, great. Interior offensive lineman, one of the best interior offensive linemen in the country. As a matter of fact, he's the number 6 player at his position in the country, and right outside the top 100 at 128. So you're talking about a 150 top guy on the inside. Atkins does what Atkins tends to do. I know what everybody wants to talk about, but we got a little bit of recruiting that we need to touch on that I think is essential that we touch on it. And Kearne, FSU could have a potential big recruiting weekend this week, this 4th of July weekend, because Kendrick Falk is looking to announce, I believe, in a couple of days. You got Avery Stewart, 4-star safety. I think he announces on the 6th. Kendrick Falk announces in 2 or 3 days. Lucas Simmons is here to announce in the next week or 2. So FSU could have some important guys come join the good guys. Come join the good guys in the next week or so. So we got some guys to look out for. We need some recruiting moment. I think a lot of people think maybe Kearne was the beginning of some recruiting momentum. We need it. I'm not gonna sit here and sugarcoat it for you. I know how I do. We need it. We need some momentum, because the facts are the new car smell down there in Miami is still smelling pretty good. And Mario's doing his thing, right? There's no hiding or denying that at this moment. So we cannot fall behind. We cannot fall behind Getting Falk is a big deal. Getting Falk would actually be a huge deal. And of course, Lucas Simmons. Those are two of the big guns right there. Talking about offensive tackle, defensive end. The safety would be a great pickup. We're still lacking at some of these skill position players, but potentially getting Singleton would be a nice running back pickup. These are the things that we need. I like where FSU's. Let me rephrase that. I like that they're addressing the trenches. Like you either getting guys who can protect the quarterback or get after the quarterback. But man, we got to start getting some elite guys. And it's hard to get excited over DeMarco Ward. You know, it's hard getting excited over some of these guys, man. We need to start getting some guys that's gonna right the ship, so to speak. And we got some guys on the docket that can potentially do that. So let's see. Todd says, do you think we see a wideout have over 1,000 yards this year? Arguably, we need it. Do we see it? Tough. That's tough. But can we get a guy close and some touchdowns? Question is, how many yards do you really expect Jordan Travis to throw for? I think a good season for Jordan Travis is somewhere along the lines of 3,200 yards total, meaning rushing and throwing. So asking a receiver to potentially have 1,000 yards in that system is not far-fetched, but somebody's going to have to emerge and be the guy. For recruiting purposes, yeah, we probably need a 1,000-yard receiver or at least a guy with double-digit touchdowns and 800-some yards. But I don't know, man. I don't know. Let's go down to the comments. They need 9 schools to waive grantor rights. That ain't happening. Grantor rights. People. Let me say this. I'm not an expert on the grantor rights, and we're gonna dig deep into that conversation because I know that's what everybody wants to talk about. Everybody wants to talk about this. You know, realize every time it's 2 schools decide to join and go to a conference, the FSU, Clemson, and all these other conversations start up, and then all these so-called rumors and whatever. So I'm gonna touch on exactly why the grantor rights probably isn't as big a deal as people think it is. It's a hurdle, but it's probably not the as big as a hurdle as people think. Hold on, let me. Terrell Thomas, what's going on? We need to get out ASAP. Man, bump it. We just gonna talk about grantor rights because that's what everybody cares about. Y'all really just care about the grantor rights. So let's care about the grantor rights and let's care about this realignment. So if you don't know, if you've been living in a box, UCLA and USC are going to the Big Ten. If you've been watching me for anywhere, if you've been watching me for more than, I don't know, 6-7 months, we told you, I've told you that this is where college football was headed. 2 mega conferences. That's what it's going to be. And it's not a coincidence that it's the 2 money conferences in the Big Ten and the SEC, right? These are big. This is where, at the end of the day, this is where all of this stuff is gonna end up. Big Ten, SEC. When it's all said and done, they obviously won't be called those 2. And I believe you'll have like 4 divisions within 2 power conferences. Essentially, man, you're going to have like the AFC and the NFC. in college football, I believe, when it's all said and done, and then different divisions within it. So just recently, UCLA and USC go over to the Big Ten. And then here we go, all the rumors, and now, Florida State fans want to panic. Look, I've been calling to get out of it. Again, if you've been watching me for longer than a year, not only did I say that this was going to lead to 2 mega conferences, I told you FSU needed to get out of the ACC 3 years ago. FSU should have been left the ACC. So I think it's not. I don't think FSU fans need to necessarily worry about if. I just think it's a matter of when. And as you can see with these teams, there's a reason why you don't get one-off teams doing this. There's a reason why I think you watch it and you see that you don't just get Texas going to the SEC by itself, right? Texas pairs with a team like Oklahoma, and then they go on as a pair. So obviously FSU is going to need a partner to play ball with. Everybody continues to assume that would most likely be Clemson. And it may or may not be. I'm not sure. Most likely it will probably be either a Clemson or Miami. I actually think Miami isn't. Believe it or not, I think Miami would be the team that would go to the big. If you talk about the two teams pairing up and going out, I think FSU and FSU and Clemson obviously talk to each other. That move eventually happens when we can dig into that a little deeper. But that move eventually happens. I think, believe it or not, I think Miami and Notre Dame getting together and going to the Big Ten makes a lot of sense to me for both parties. For one, Miami was formerly in the Big East. They have a lot of history with those northern schools. Number two, the Big Ten is going to want to have their ties in that Florida market, I think, and I think that would be smart for them and for Miami and Notre Dame have a historic rivalry where those two programs hate each other, and so of course those two teams could pair up and go on to the Big Ten. I think it makes a lot of sense. I don't think we're going to just get all the Southern teams in the SEC and all the Northern teams in the Big Ten. There will be some mixing and matching. I do believe there will be some mix and matches. And I think Miami and Notre Dame to the Big Ten makes a lot of sense, personally. I don't think the rivalry dies, though. There's no reason why the rivalry would have to die. It didn't die when they were in the Big East and we were in the ACC. Doesn't make sense why the rivalry would die now. And just because you're in 2 mega conferences, again, this thing's going to be separated into divisions. You'll still have your out-of-conference games, and that'll probably just be one of them that continues to go. I don't see anything dying, unless you get a situation like A&M in Texas where they just couldn't agree and play each other. But those are because of the schools, not because they switched conferences. Like some of this stuff, A&M didn't want anything to do with Texas, so that's why that rivalry died. I don't foresee that happening with Florida State, Miami. So that's just me. A Dangbay says Miami already Nebraska. Y'all talking about something else? Duke and North Carolina will pair up to go to the Big Ten, and they're both AAU members. Yeah, I think the Carolina schools make a lot of sense for the Big Ten for the simple fact that I think Kansas will eventually end up in the Big Ten. So if you want to keep college basketball alive, Kansas, Duke, North Carolina, insane conference as Kansas. Oh, I already said Kansas, but Kansas, Indiana, UCLA, all historic basketball programs. ACC can't save itself. ACC can't save itself because there's a reason why Notre Dame hasn't joined, other than every other every other sport but football. The ACC can't save itself. The ACC divvies up the money in a way that isn't economically friendly for. They try to distribute all the money evenly between the schools, and it hasn't quite worked out. Um, Oregon doesn't gain anything by joining the SEC, so that makes no sense. Oregon and Stanford makes more sense with the Big Ten. West Virginia, I've talked about West Virginia at length. It's not going to happen. It never will happen because first of all, the ACC will dissolve before West Virginia joins it. West Virginia doesn't bring anything to the ACC, and sorry to say that the ACC does more for West Virginia than West Virginia does for it. The problem is with the way everything's going, West Virginia isn't a big enough name to do anything to help salvage the ACC. Notre Dame's going to go to the Big Ten because that's just where all the money's at. The ACC's spineless. If the ACC had any guts, had any courage, that COVID year when Notre Dame joined just to save itself, because Notre Dame needed the ACC then, the ACC should have put its foot down and made Notre Dame become a permanent member, but of course they did not. It's moves like that that tell you the ACC is not serious, and it's moves like that that shows you why the ACC will collapse on itself, which is, in my opinion, why the grant of rights won't mean anything in the long term, because the ACC is not going to be the only conference as all these other conferences dissolve, and the Pac-12 goes down to the Pac-8, the Big 12 goes down to the whatever, and all these other conferences just continue, and ACC tries to stand strong because of this grant of rights. Eventually it's just going to evaporate, and it's just not going to work, in my opinion. Again, I'm not an expert on any of this, but it won't matter in the long term. The ACC will eventually just get bought out by the powers that be. And once the Big Ten and the SEC teams and the ACC that they want, they'll say, "Hey, Florida State, get you a partner, and we'll work on the buyout along with the two universities." Everybody keeps talking about all this 360 mil. When you got a conference that consists of Bama, Texas, Oklahoma, and so on and so forth, and they put their resources on top of the two universities coming together, all of a sudden that money doesn't seem like that big of a deal, does it? Especially if the money is going to be made bigger on the back end once the teams join the conference. 3 years ago, POLK, I've been saying it since the last round of conference realignment in 2011, 2012. Notre Dame is a Big Ten school all the way. Miami in the Big Ten, that USC. See, and that's what I'm saying. I agree with you, New King. That the Miami makes a lot of sense in the Big Ten, in my opinion. And it doesn't mean any rivalries have to die, but I think Miami and Notre Dame make a lot of sense if they paired up and went that route. To me, it makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of good matchups for Miami, and that's a good move for the Big Ten to get that Florida market. I wouldn't be mad if Florida State was in the Big Ten personally. I think Florida State kind of fits more within the SEC, though. Chad, what's up with you? Yeah, they're not going to not consider Florida State. Let me ask you a question. What do you think was more important for the Big Ten, USC or UCLA? They just paired up. But what has UCLA been in football? They were a proud basketball, but what is UCLA even really in basketball? But good, not even what they used to be. If programs like USC, obviously USC is USC, but yeah, man. There's a reason why you don't see any ACC teams leaving right now. There are schools in the ACC that I think would be vetted by both conferences. There's a little bit of red tape, but I don't think that red tape lasts forever, is my point. I don't think anybody should worry about Florida State being left out because it's still a national brand. Well, they're going to have no choice when the ACC dies within itself. This ACC is not going to last forever, regardless of whether you think the tobacco, all that stuff's cool, but the ACC is not going to last forever. Again, it's just going to die of natural causes, and then Duke and UNC will eventually need a home. I think we do way better recruiting if we're in the SEC. Just my opinion. ACC will die, and FSU will be an independent again. The SEC doesn't want FSU. I don't know. There's no way to know if they want FSU or not. I don't think they wouldn't want them. He's very funny. He's a very funny dude. He just says things. The damn Rose Bowl. Hold on. SEC definitely wants Florida State. Oh, they have been talking about bringing in FSU and Clemson for years. SEC would want to kick out Vanderbilt and replace I don't know. The thing is, I don't think they're going to kick any teams out. That's an interesting point. Like, if you're like the Big Ten, what purpose does Rutgers serve? The reason why they're not going to kick any teams out, and I'm stealing this from the Nolecast. I actually listened to them earlier today, and they made this great point. So I think it's a valid point that I should make as well. But the reason why you don't kick out a Vanderbilt, and the reason why you don't kick out a Rutgers, and you even let a Duke join, and that mega conference, you're going to need people to just take losses, right? You're going to need people to take L's. You're going to need teams. Everybody's not going to the big dance, guys. There's going to be a few teams that need to take L's. Vanderbilt being one. Just the way it's got to be. Talk about these mega conferences. You're gonna need teams that just. It's gonna be cool to watch these matchups, but at the same time, there still will be bye weeks where you get to play Vanderbilt that week. So there's pros and cons to everything. I think there's pros to leaving some of the lower tier schools in there. Appreciate you, Joe. Braddock says he wants the Big Ten, but he feels like the SEC will win the bid. I prefer the SEC, but I'll be glad for FSU to get an invite to the Big Ten. I'm cool with either as long as they get it. They're not going to not get invited. I don't know why people think they wouldn't. I don't know why people think they wouldn't. And I just addressed that, New King. I don't foresee them really kicking out because, again, teams, you need people to eat some losses. I never kick out Vanderbilt. No, because Bama's gonna want to keep Vanderbilt, and you should. You should want to keep. And those schools aren't losing anything. They're still gonna get the check that all the other schools are getting. They're still gonna get the revenue. But your primary hitters are gonna need. They're gonna need what they need every other weekend. You're gonna need a few soft games. Because with the big conferences, probably you don't get the same amount of out-of-conference games, right? So, and that's another thing I'll say with the conference realignment. I think the teams that really are going to hurt are going to be your FCS schools that would get a big check for playing Bama. You pay a team $2 million to come lose 62-0. Those teams might be hurt the worst because essentially there's no need for that. There's no need for that. UCLA is important off the field. UCLA is the second only to MIT when it comes to research. I hear that. I'm not debating that. Not debating that. Why do I think Florida recruiting sucks now? Ask Billy Napier, bro. I don't know. I don't follow Florida recruiting like that. I just kind of I dig at him whenever something happens. But yeah, didn't y'all have like an offensive lineman decommit at midnight and then go to Miami? I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on at Florida. Probably that mac and cheese plate that I saw on Twitter, man. That was pretty disgusting. Maybe it's the food. Maybe it's the food. Which conference, the Big Ten or SEC, would give FSU more revenue? That I don't know. And I don't even think it matters. I think there's big money in both, obviously. The ACC's weak sauce with a shitty network and not serious about building up sports like football and baseball. FSU, Clemson, Miami, UNC will all go to the SEC, possibly, but I don't think it's a foregone conclusion to throw North Carolina in the mix there, because I don't foresee North Carolina splitting off from the other Carolina schools. Could be wrong. Maybe Florida State, Clemson, and Miami, you can put those three. But then, if that's the case, I would put Duke, NC State, and UNC, all three going elsewhere. You feel me? Culturally and close distance to other schools, realigning the SEC. But the SEC is also very regionalized. I can also see the appeal for the Big Ten with these national brands they are bringing in. Vanderbilt is not leaving the SEC. They're a founding member of the SEC and the top 15 university. You have been blocking FSU. What world y'all been living in? The Big Ten hasn't even. Sometimes I wonder who you're a fan of, but I know you just trolling. They're not going to be able to block anything, and the Big Ten hasn't considered any of the Southern schools as of right now. Hold on. With that level of talent on a roster, I definitely don't want to go to the SEC. We would be stupid to do that. Our program, we can't even win. I think we got to start having. We have to start being smarter fans, people. Texas A&M, when they joined the SEC, go look at their roster. What about Missouri? Both of those schools have actually made the SEC championship game. Being in a conference like the SEC opens up a lot more. There's a reason why in the ACC there's only been really 2 or 3 schools that really make a lot of noise, and those schools have their own brand and recognition. And there's a reason why in the SEC all of a sudden Kentucky has made some noise, but you've had Auburn go to national championships. Arkansas they just had a 9-win season. There's a reason why teams kind of go up and down. Yes, the guys that are the same, or should I say at the top, have kind of stayed there, but different resources come with that. Again, A&M, I was one of the people that thought A&M going to the SEC was a dumb idea. They weren't even competing in the Big 12 at the time, and here we are later on. A&M's done all right for themselves on the recruiting trail and all these other places. So being in the SEC has its perks, and FSU already having the brand, I think to be scared of the SEC is ridiculous. If anything, it puts you on a level playing field. That's just me, though. Exactly. They can't block anything at this point. These conferences' entire goal is power, and to get that, they need as many teams as possible. They won't be kicking anyone out. You think by the time y'all get to SEC, Saban will be at Bama? Well, what is Saban? 70-something? I don't know. I don't think Saban's coaching too much longer anyway. So UF will try to block both Miami and FSU. They're cowards. Guys, reasons why this is going to happen, it's simple. The only good ACC show, Packer, Durham, moving FSU, finding $50 million buyout clause instead of the. That's interesting information right there. Those days of US blocking FSU, the SEC is over. If the network wants FSU, I mean, you already see what Texas did, and the SEC didn't even go read up on it. The SEC didn't even ask A&M. So this thing about blocking anybody is kind of ridiculous. If they want the program, they'll get the program. SEC went and got Texas and didn't even mention it to Texas A&M. So again, it doesn't really matter if one school doesn't want Florida State, right? It doesn't really matter. I do think there's a couple schools that if I was in the SEC, I think there's a couple schools that probably will be wary of a Florida State coming to the SEC and what that can mean for them. Obviously, Florida. I think Georgia, because we recruit a lot of the same kids that Georgia recruits. Florida and Georgia, I think, would probably be the two main ones that are kind of like, whoa, do we really want Florida State on that even playing field with us? I'm not sure we do. And maybe even an Auburn. Maybe even an Auburn or an Alabama. Those are the only schools that I think would, tell them, VJ, hit the like button. What's our likes looking at? Let me check the likes real quick. I'll be being nice on the likes, y'all. I'll be being nice on the likes.
Build a business that can scale beyond.
Shut up. Yeah, let's get them likes up, guys. Let's get them likes up. I don't think UGA will want FSU in the SEC either. I agree with that. I just mentioned that. I agree with that. Boxing Monster. With the state of our program, we will be one of those programs eating losses. Well, Marcus, nothing lasts forever is what I'll say to you. I'll just put it like that. ACC was close to their ideal, but it just didn't connect. If the Big Four would have hit during the same time, ACC could have threatened the SEC. ACC mostly have one team hit. Difference is money for both the Big Ten and SEC deal is so small it doesn't really matter. Reason why Pac-Man Durham show ended Friday. Big Ten pays more. We have hold on. Chat jumped on me. We have Murderers Row on the schedule. And in 2026, we might as well be playing the SEC if you haven't. Is it 26? I think it's 26. It's one of those, man. We really do. We really do have tough schedules coming up anyway. So, Big Mario in the building. What's up, T2I? When I posted our reasons why this is going to happen, it was going to happen. I don't think anyone should be doubting if it's going to happen. It's going to happen just because it's going to happen. So it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. When is it going to happen? Who is going to be our partners when it happens? It's going to happen. The notion that it's happening within the next few months or something, I think people should pump the brakes. It's kind of ridiculous. The notion that even within maybe in a year or two, it's going to happen. I don't know for sure, but it's going to happen. It's going to happen. I just don't know when. And I think anybody that's kind of claiming to know when is just stringing people along. Just going through the comments real quick. Resources and money you get access from being an SEC is way better than ACC. Don't compare TAMU to UF. I mean, hell, they've been better than Florida. They've been better than them. What's up, Wanda? Y'all, Wanda I don't know if Wanda trolling or she being for real. I don't know if she trolling or she being for real, but I don't even know who that guy is. Plus state law, we can walk away from the ACC, and the state university can only be sued up to $250K, but every sure exit the ACC the correct way. I'm tired of that SEC narrative. A&M and Manziel had the SEC West shook day one, and Missouri. That's what I'm saying. Missouri and A&M competed off the jump, and nobody thought that. So I don't like the notion of Florida State gonna go to the SEC and whatever. We're having a down, I mean, if we want to be honest with you, Miami was the complete opposite. They left the Big East, and we were supposed to get Florida State and Miami 2 times a year, and it didn't happen. Miami didn't quite live up to their end of the bargain, did they? Now, I'm not trying to bash Miami right now. We got a whole year to do that. My point is, sometimes you go to a conference and teams expect you to be, or people expect you to be successful. Everybody thought Miami would run the Coastal for years, and we would get Florida State, Miami pretty much 2 times a year. Quite frankly, you can almost blame Miami for maybe the state that the ACC is in now. Had we actually got Florida State, Miami at the top year in and year out, twice a year, that may have saved the conference at that point. Maybe you'd be looking at the ACC in a bigger light than you do now. But that was that, Miami was thought that they were going to come to the ACC and be a factor, and they weren't. Missouri and TAMU people didn't think that people thought them going to the SEC was actually absolutely stupid, that they wouldn't compete, and they've done the opposite of that. So I don't buy into that. We shouldn't be wanting. You definitely should want to be in the SEC or the Big Ten. Again, I'm not against the Big Ten. I would like to go to either one. What's up, Yellow? Haven't seen you in them hot minute, man. What's good with you? Hold on, chat jumped on me again. And just like A&M, FSU will be that program that can never beat enough teams to get the playoff, but have what it takes to upset top-tier programs. Dang, Marcus, it's got to be tough to be miserable day in and day out. You just a miserable dude. Unlike A&M, Florida State's brand is way more top tier than A&M's was at the time when they joined the SEC. So, and, look at Florida State's able to recruit in the ACC. You don't think that picks up? I don't know. Continue to believe what you want, my friend. Times have changed. SEC will take FSU. One, the money will bring view-wise. 2, puts the SEC one step closer to bouncing out of the NCAA. I've talked about that for years too, that the NCAA is all but useless. And you see it with NIL now. You're seeing it with the conference realignments. There's no really use for the NCAA at this point. Again, if you've been watching me for more than a year, I told you the NCAA they won't cease to exist, but they'll cease to have a say-so once the big schools form a conglomerate and govern themselves, which essentially they're kind of doing now anyway. Competition would only bring success in the long run of things. I would love to see the Noles in the SEC. Gator fans came around early 2000s, but if you get UM and FSU back into playing the games that matter, both programs could go to the conference. Their advantage and disadvantage of FSU moves. I would love to hear the disadvantages, because I don't see any disadvantages to FSU moving. None. I see none. The only disadvantage that you can point out, in my opinion, is to say, oh, well, they would have a tougher road to a national title. The facts are every single university, once these 2 major conferences get realigned and get going, are going to have a tougher road to the national title. So it's really a mute point, in my opinion. But Terrell, I would like to hear your disadvantages. Hold on, chat jumped on me again. Mayan King says the advantages outweigh the disadvantages, bro. Don't pull that ish. What screwed the ACC was that dumb TV deal and the refusal to make Notre Dame join in football. Well, then Notre Dame joining football is just a recent thing. So no, you can't really go to that. If you really I know you don't want to be honest, but let's be honest. I just asked you a simple question, man. I'm gonna ask you a simple question, and if you want to answer it truthfully, then more power to you. If not, and you want to pretend like you don't know, had the Miami Hurricanes came to the ACC and killed it, and imagine in 2013 you got Florida State and Miami playing twice that year. What does this woman want? Hold on, guys. I gotta take a phone call real quick. Oh, shoot. Okay, I'm back. My bad, y'all. Anyway, I forgot even what I was talking about. Oh, yeah. If Miami had lived up to its end of the bargain with the ACC potentially being a better place, I tend to believe it would have. Now, there are, of course, other things that go along with the ACC. I'm just saying, if you were getting the big time football, I mean, until Florida State in 2013, it's not like anybody in the ACC was making a run at national championships, is the point. So if Florida State and Miami were playing in the ACC championship with the winner going to the Natty, that to me changes the outlook of the ACC. But we'll never know, right? If we're fifths. Everyone keeps an eye out for the O-line that decommitted from Georgia today. I did see that. We are all in a way miserable, but I think there's a reason to be optimistic. Napier isn't too bad. Now, I kind of like Napier, to be honest with you, Mama. I think Napier's a stand-up man. I think he's a stand-up coach, and he needs to continue doing the right things. That's all I can say. The Tobacco Road bigwigs would have found a way to mess up, even if it. I don't disagree. But it would have been harder to mess up, is my point. But it would have been harder to. This is the smartest thing you've said all night, Boxing Monster. None in mine. They haven't won one since World War II. So none of you were alive the last time A&M won anything. Most of your parents weren't alive the last time they won anything, and some of your grandparents aren't even alive now. That's how long it's been. Let me catch up in the comments. Obviously, that phone call. Hold on. In the chat, I'm just trying to catch up in the comments, guys. So my bad. Any FSU fans who don't think Miami will finish at least in the top 10 in recruit, as of right now, you're on the right track. Can't even lie to you. As one fine person told me before, games still have to be played. So we'll see. Shout out to Kasami with the 199. He says, yo. Hey, man, appreciate that.
Yeah, get more money. Yeah, get more money. Yeah.
It definitely does. It's like you're stuck in the last. You understand Miami's been in the ACC for what, 20 years now, somewhere around there. So you're stuck in the past 10 years. And I'm telling you, in the entirety of that time, it would have mattered. Okay, you're stuck on the past 10 years or 8 years or whatever it is. And I'm telling you, over the entire lifespan of this thing, you would have got ahead of the BCS and the college football playoff. And you get ahead of things. Of course, the last 10 years didn't matter because all of these moves that are happening now were already in the effect of happening over this time span. Yeah, when Florida State and Clemson won all this stuff. We went through the prior 10 years of no ACC teams competing for anything of significance, which ultimately, in my opinion, killed the conference. Big money, 863. Your point on what you're saying, if Miami would have lived up to it, that would have been a big difference in the ACC segment. Great point you made. Has UM even won ACC championship? that's kind of my point. It's my point without trying to throw shade, but of course, Miami fans take it as that. Miami fans take it as disrespect. Um, my point is, your best teams are competing at the national level. It helps your conference. That's all I'm saying. But of course, they want to get sensitive about just facts. Marcus Wright can't compare FSU to A&M Miz. We have a legendary program. If we make noise in the SEC, open the floodgates for recruiting. Didn't we beat the best SEC team in 2013? BB didn't run from comp. Super Mario can't coach those kids. Commit signing up. You're going off topic. I may be talking to someone else. Avery Stewart putting on a good vibes on Twitter. We need good vibes on the trail, Tyler. We need good vibes on the trail. Miami doing good recruiting now, like Willie did. That's what I said, bro. Remember Willie and all that recruiting momentum Willie had, and the Virginia Tech happened, which still is sad to this day that Virginia Tech happened. We'll see. We'll see. I wouldn't have a problem with that, man. By all means, you hit up my inbox. Only thing that stops me from doing stuff sometimes is my schedule is a little hectic. But I'm telling you, the on the field results have nothing to do with the entire conference signing off on the dumbest TV deal any conference agreed to, and I'm not taking it as disrespect. I just don't agree with what you said. I'll be the first to admit we haven't done anything to ACC. And what I'm saying is, if you had, that's just for the sake of argument, say you had done something in the ACC. Do we not believe that it could, the TV deal means less if Miami is and Florida State are on national TV every other year or whatever? You know what I'm saying? Or maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm just talking. Who knows? Aggies don't have any football chips. They claiming from an era where multiple teams said they won. It'd be like Harvard saying they a football power since they have 7 claimed natties. So yeah, man, that's everybody's making a big deal over the realignment of college football, and I know everybody's hold on. I know everybody gets excited about this stuff. But like I said, man, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen for all your big name teams. It's gonna happen for your like some of the teams that I think should be more worried are some of the teams that sometimes we consider big name, but they aren't. Like West Virginia to me is a team that should be worried in this conference realignment. Virginia probably is a team that should be worried. The Virginia Tech could probably be worried. I'm just thinking of ACC teams, but even like if you go to the Pac-12, trying to think of some teams that should be worried over there. Pac-12 is a little bit like Oregon State. I don't think Oregon's going to move with Oregon State. Like I don't foresee that. Oregon would make that move on its own, or Oregon and Stanford or something like that would make that move. But you're an Oregon State and a Washington State. Some of these teams can get left by the wayside. But I think it's those caliber of programs. I don't think any of your big schools with the notable logos get left out of this thing. Alfred wants us. It'll happen. That's what I'm saying. Just be patient. It'll happen. I'm not too worried about any of that stuff. Lenoris, I ain't even see you, man. Almost missed your comment. I'm coming in representing you. You're not the first one. You won't be the last one. There's a bunch of y'all in here. Miami fans are the funniest fans in the world. When y'all are doing good, y'all be in everybody's chat. After that Miami Florida State game last year, I ain't see y'all for months. But shout out to the Lenoris and the guys that usually show up on a regular basis. I appreciate you for coming in and showing support, man. I'll hit you up about doing the show. Like I said, it's not if the ACC does, it's when I agree. Like I said the same thing you said. The coach, let's see what Galaxy says. I like that picture too, like Ray Lewis. Well, I don't necessarily like Ray Lewis, but I like that picture. The coach y'all bashing, Willie won more games than Mike. Willie was a better in every successful stat line from an offensive standpoint. Willie, I'm not even gonna do this, right? I'm not gonna make this a Mike Norvell and Willie Taggart debate. Willie Taggart actually had a losing record as a head coach, so yeah, you can win more games, but you have a losing record. So that's a flawed argument. And the last part I'll address before I not talk about Willie Taggart versus Mike Norvell. That's like, yeah, we're not doing that. We're not about to argue over a Civic versus a Camry. But the last thing I'll say is Willie's offense didn't get any success till they got Fowler as their quarterback. Next comment. I'm looking into when they'll possibly be announcing any news. And he said he'll let the fans know. Oregon and Washington, Oregon and Stanford. Yeah, I agree there. Washington shouldn't be worried. Again, notable teams with notable logos shouldn't be too worried. A team like TCU could get left out of this thing, though, going to the Big 12, right? Texas Tech. See, the thing about the Big 12, once they lost Texas and OU, quite frankly, I don't know what else is in that conference. There's not a bunch of other real notable program. Kansas is the only remaining Big 12 school that if I'm Kansas, I'm not worried because they will get picked up. Right. How you feel about the new ACC? I think it should have been happened. I think more conferences should do it. I enjoy it. I enjoy just the two best teams in the conference playing. Get rid of the two divisions and just have. I like it. I'm a fan of it. I'm definitely a fan of that. So many lies missed about Cuban Jesus. fans are just desperate that he hits his hits and became so much successful. They're tired of being the Nebraska of the ACC. Wins don't matter like y'all think they do. Jimbo has been at A&M for 4 years and has never won more than 8 games, but just signed the high. But he's winning games, right? He is winning games, right? And that goes back to the previous point of what? Being in the SEC and having all the resources there. So it's obviously a mix of both. But you can't say winning doesn't matter. Winning definitely matters. If winning didn't matter, Nebraska would be Nebraska of the 90s. You think they're broke over there in Nebraska? Might want to check again. If winning didn't matter, why does USC down for all of these years? You think they're broke over there in LA? You might want to check again. Winning definitely matters. But see, A&M and teams in the SEC have that advantage of the resources. And not only that, but the national stereotype or stigma that is the SEC. So winning matters. Don't get it twisted and pretend like winning doesn't matter. Because we can point up a lot of rich universities. Hell, Texas is another one. Since Vince Young, what have they done? They're the richest program in the college football, period. Winning matters. They will be taking another L later this year. Miami versus Florida State will be interesting again. Virginia will probably go to the Big Ten and they're an AAU member. Hold on. Chat keeps jumping on me, guys, so my bad. Worse than Jimbo's last couple of years, and the tag debacle was the former school president AD. They scored FSU in so many ways. I was in his chat after FSU lost eating crow. I had a different name because Mario wasn't our coach yet. I think I do remember that name. I actually think I do. I probably do remember. I usually remember names. That's what it is. We talk about Willie versus Norvell. We're talking about a Civic versus a Camry. Like, what are we really talking about, man? We're not talking about nothing. That's why I don't want to get too much into it, but not talking about nothing there, man. Great show. Thanks for the insight. Hey, VJ, appreciate you for coming and stopping in, man. Myth. Cuban Jesus comes from the saving tree. He coached at Alabama for 2 years after he was already coaching for over 12 years and having a mediocre record, but now he's a disciple. Ooh. Somebody fact check that, but I like that. Big Arizona and Arizona State will be interesting. But again, Arizona and Arizona State, there's no point of going to the Big 12. Why would Colorado go back to the Big 12 and they're in the Pac-12? And Colorado's going to end up in the Big 10. Guarantee you that. Arizona and Arizona State probably both end up in the Big 10 as well. Though I could see the SEC, they don't really bring much to the SEC, but regionally wise, maybe that makes, South, North, but I think most of those Pac-12 schools that move are going to end up. I don't think the SEC goes past Texas. I'd be kind of shocked if they did. Mario has to prove it, but staff, he put together something to get excited about. I mean, we'll see in a couple months. Okay, winning is a factor, but if you are an elite recruiter, you will close. Now, if you lose 5 years in a row, that will obviously matter, but there are plenty of examples of closing strong despite losing. Well, obviously, I don't really want him now, but I got him. So we're rooting for his success. Have a good night, Sporadics. Appreciate you for stopping through. Yeah, there you go. We don't want him now, but we got him. So we're just going to do what we got to do at this point. At least I don't. I can't speak for everybody, obviously. Some people continue to want Mike. And I don't want Mike to fail, to be clear. I'm rooting for his success. So I don't root against him. But, yeah, I've kind of spoken on the Mike thing as of right now. So, I mean, man, conference realignment it's something definitely to get excited about, man. Definitely get excited for it. Because it's, like everybody's saying, it's not a matter of if, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. The question is, who's going to be the first two ACC teams to get that call and make that move? I think it'll be Florida State and Clemson. Again, I also think Miami would be smart. If Florida State and Clemson, if they do the thing, I think Miami would be smart to hit up Notre Dame. But I also think if Clemson and Miami did it, I think Florida State would be smart to hit up Notre Dame. I could see Florida State in the Big Ten as well. So, hold on, that's not in the comment. I'll come back to that one. The SEC should go after Oklahoma State, Baylor, and TCU. So I think Baylor probably eventually ends up in the SEC. TCU is an interesting school. I kind of feel like they could potentially get left. Oklahoma State has a little bit too much money to get left out. So I think Oklahoma State follow. Like you told me, Oklahoma State and Baylor kind of teamed up to move. I could see it. Did Canes fans forget Mario choked against Utah last year and got fired from? flu. He's not an exit coaches. Short list of who can replace Mike. I don't even want to get into it. Then Randy had a number of recruiting class. He did. I have pointed this out numerous times to Miami fans. Because when the Miami guy comes home, of course, Mario's having the same effect right now that Randy had when he came home. I don't know if Miami fans will admit it or not. And I'm not ultimately saying Mario's not going to be or going to be successful. But being in South Florida, knowing people from South Florida, having family in South Florida, they different. They are very loyal to their own down there. And so when the hometown guy comes home, which we've seen Miami this happen a couple times, the kids are going to go flock and play for him. Randy had the same thing, man. He came home, and Ja'Cory Harris and all them boys down there, they said, we finna go play for a Miami dude. And they had a number one class, and they had some talent. And it is what it is there. Now, I don't know if Mario's a better X's and O's guys than Randy. We'll see at the end of the day. The recruiting that Miami's doing isn't surprising because now the funny thing will be if Mario can keep his West Coast connection. But West Coast quarterbacks going to Miami, that's not a new thing either, actually, if you look at Miami's history. So, like, getting Rashada to me isn't, not saying it's not a big deal, but it's not, like, surprising in the sense of Miami has kind of always recruited West Coast, especially quarterbacks. They've always been able to go out there and get West Coast quarterbacks. What's going on? Jesus is the new Randy Sanders. What Miami's doing right now is different. It's not just Mario. Miami has administration, buy-in like never before. We are improving our facilities across the board and have increased our staff support. Yeah, that's gonna be the thing for every program now. If you want to succeed, like those are the things you're gonna have to do. So you definitely got to get on board. You definitely got to be on board with all of that. What y'all think about the Elite 11, man? So if you don't know, the Elite 11 just finished up. Parson did make the final. He did make the Elite 11. This might make some people mad, and some people might say it might not matter, but Rashada did not. Also, Brock Glenn did not make the Elite 11. And Miami's other quarterback didn't make the Elite 11. When I say they didn't make the Elite 11, they competed in the competition. They did get invites, obviously, and competed. But when the Elite 11 was finally named, neither Miami quarterback was there. FSU's other quarterback that they're looking to get, and Brock Glenn didn't make it. I don't think Ricky Collins, another FSU target, he didn't make it. But Chris Parsons did make it. Yeah, man. Everybody's kind of been back on the Parson bandwagon. I remain the same on Parson, man. I still think where there's smoke, there's fire. I'd be interested to, but I have heard some things from some. I've heard some things from some people, and basically saying that Parsons is a no unless Florida State doesn't want him. To Parson, not I keep putting an S on his name, but to Parson, to his credit, he's not making any moves that he's not informing the staff. So it's not like he's not talking. They're talking I think he was just on campus last weekend. I saw him playing basketball at Norvell's house like last weekend on I think it was Twitter or Instagram, one of those two. So he's letting the staff know his every move. He's letting the staff know when he takes a visit. I still think if they take a quarterback that he probably looks elsewhere. But at this point, maybe they cool off on the quarterback talk. They kind of like have his word. Not too sure there. What Parson has that I like the most is that he just has arm talent. He just has arm talent. He can throw the football. He can throw the ball. He's shorter than expected. But he's not a small short. He's thickly built, but he's got a cannon. And I just don't think his athleticism translates. Like he's listed as a dual threat, but at the college level, I don't think that dual threat comes into play. I think he's got to learn to play in the pocket, which could be hard for him. But the Elite 11, I'll say this, it's not everything, but if you look at it, Elite 11 kind of tends to tell you at least who can make certain throws, who can play where. It's not the end-all, be-all by any means in the Elite 11, but I do think it's a good barometer of kind of what you have to work on, and so forth. So, you think Parsons going to stick with y'all? I think if they take another quarterback, I think he leaves. That's the best I can say there. It matters. Don't dismiss it now because your guys didn't make the Elite 11. It does matter. Obviously, everything's always different with pads on, but the Elite 11 is what quarterbacks get judged off of. They've always got judged off of it. I remember watching Jameis in the Elite 11, and he was sensational. There are definitely don't say it doesn't matter. It definitely matters. It's not the end-all, be-all, but it matters. Guys who have competed well in the Elite 11 have went on to be successful, but they've also been some guys that haven't. It matters. It's just not the end-all, be-all. It's just not the end-all, be-all. That I don't believe. I did see a crystal ball for that, but I don't think that happens. I think everybody is tired of the back and forth, though, Tyler. I think everybody's tired of every time FSU entertains another quarterback, he seems to get cold feet, or I don't know what it is. Out of the quarterbacks that FSU's targeting, him, Brock Glenn, and Ricky Collins, from what I saw from Ricky Collins, man, I was not really impressed. He has a wonky throw motion that I don't know if it can be fixed. Which I think kind of goes into why if you look at Collins and his offers, he does not have a lot of them. I'll put Collins third. I still like Brock Glenn's tape more than Parsons, but I think Parson has a higher upside. And he has the best arm. And I'm just talking about the guys that Florida State's targeting. I probably like Collins the least now, just from what I've seen. That's a great question that I'm not finna research and don't have the answer to. So yeah, I don't know about that. If Parson was 6'3", he would have been a 5-star. If he was 6'3", yeah, he would definitely be more highly touted. He can at least be a rollout, not a total pocket passer or a complete dual threat. Well, obviously, I think in today's game, you have to be, dang, I missed the super chat, man. I'm sorry. Hurricane Speed Jr. I missed it. He says it's about to change when the season starts. It's all about the change when the season starts. With the $20 donation, hey, I don't know what's going to change. I'll believe it when I see it. But I appreciate you. And just for you, Hurricane. Actually, I don't have that. But thank you for the $20.
Clickety clank, clickety clank. The money goes into my piggy bank.
So if he's doing that and hasn't stepped a foot on campus, why invest in him? You would. Who hasn't stepped a foot on campus? I'm not sure what you're asking here. I'm not sure what you're asking. You say if he's doing that and he hasn't stepped a foot on campus, if you're talking about Parson, you say you're speaking Parson. I'm speaking about Parson. He was just on campus last week. He's been pretty positive. He's been probably at all of FSU's camps. I know he was at FSU's elite camp. He was on camp. I don't know what you mean. He's been on campus every opportunity he's had. So I'm not sure what you mean. With the Irish TV deal ending in 2025, I'd be surprised if they don't join the big. Does that deal include Oregon, Washington, and who? Probably not an ACC school just yet, though. Parson should be close to a 5-star. See, I think we got to slow down, King Mac. I don't see 5-star there. He's got a big arm, but he's got a lot to work on. I don't know if I see program changer. He's a good player with a big arm and some athleticism, but he's undersized, at least height-wise, and he still has a lot of things to work on. I don't think I see 5-star there, though. But, again, we're all entitled to whatever. What QB has felt the way? Name them. I'm not sure who you're talking about. Needs to pick up. I'm not going to sit. I haven't sat here and pretended like it doesn't need to pick up. Needs to pick up. Hopefully we get some good news this weekend, but it needs to pick up. Norville Central in the building. He says, what's good? Hope we're having a good night. Go Noles. Everyone be sure to hit the like button. The ACC is praying Notre Dame joins, but it won't happen. No, if it was going to, first of all, the ACC shouldn't have to pray for Notre Dame to join. They should have forced Notre Dame to join when Notre Dame need them to even hold a college football season during COVID. Notre Dame couldn't even play college football if it wasn't for the ACC. Instead of the ACC putting the foot down, they did not do that. So I think a week from so now we'll feel better. I hope so. Because we need it. And I'm not talking about 3-star whoever. I mean, we need some real momentum. Like POLK and we just Simmons. We need real momentum. We need some real momentum. Would you say Parsons is like a Russell Wilson? Uses athleticism to extend plays, plus a strong arm. Both short quarterbacks, kind of stocky built. It's an interesting comparison. It might be. I believe, of course, I think the recruits wanted to see us have a good season last year. They want to see us have a good season. We'll just see if we can have one. I'm not going to lie, Tyler. Yak is on my get the heck out of Tallahassee bus. Him and Chris Thompson are sitting at the front of that bus, period. Him and Chris Thompson are sitting at the head of that bus. Those two guys are dead weight on this staff. I don't know what. Yak is supposed to be this guy that's plugged into Louisiana. You want to name to me the Louisiana player we have on this? We got one that I know of in Ja'Kai Douglas. What is Yak bringing? What is he doing? And then Chris Thompson is the tight end coach. Do I even need to go over tight ends again? I don't think I do. Both of those guys are at the head of the bus. Get out of Tallahassee. We need Simmons. We need Falk. I agree there. We need both of those guys. No doubt he has a cannon. I like his quick release, the ball compared to Ricky. Ricky that's what I was saying. Ricky, I don't like his motion at all. I don't like Ricky. I don't like Collins' motion at all. Hope Miami lands. I'm not even gonna try to say that, but I know who you're talking about. Tennessee's the fave there. Hopefully we can get Avery. I feel pretty good about him. I wouldn't worry too much about him, but Falk, that's the one I want. I'm hearing when you guys entertain other QBs, Parson don't like. Oh, okay, so you're talking about why Parson doesn't like when we entertain other quarterbacks, which that's not something I can answer because I can't speak for Parson there. He says if he signs, well, I'll tell you what, you just get him on campus and then we can worry about whether he hits a portal or not. I mean, but just get him on campus and everything else will take care of itself. But that's with any player, right? You talk about Miami. How confident would you guys signing Rashada that Jake Garcia or Ja'Cory Brown or some of these guys stay, right? Because now the quarterback's room is loaded. Like, that's just the game that every team's going to have to play. That's not a Florida State problem. That's an every team problem, regardless. Because I'm going to tell you right now, Miami probably loses one of those guys to the portal, whether it's Garcia or Rashada or whoever. And I know Miami fans are going to be like, I already know the comments. Going to be like, no, man, you don't know what you're talking about. Jake ain't going nowhere. Ja'Cory stuff. Bro, it's going to happen because that's just the game that we play now. And kids aren't trying to sit for 2 or 3 years to play, right? So every school's going through that, including Alabama and all these. Every school, Georgia, especially when it comes to that quarterback position, they're all going through it. Philly says, "All right, Polk, punch the like button and heading out. Most play during 0 weeks, so more football earlier than normal. Deuces. Hey, shout out Philly, appreciate you." I agree with that. I'm not even getting on the tight end. We already have like 10 of them. The fact that Yak is recruiting coordinator. Oh God, I feel good about Stewart and Singleton. Parson situation reminds me of Nico from last year. It's extremely similar. Y'all remember Nico? The thing was, FSU ended up getting the better quarterback, or at least ranking wise, in Duffy. I don't know if that's the case in this recruiting class. Like, Ricky Collins is ranked higher than Parson. But me watching, I don't really believe Collins is better. Maybe he has a higher ceiling. Maybe he has more of more potential they see in Collins because he has a bigger build or whatever. And I tell you, the biggest knock on Parsons probably is that he's only 6 foot. Probably isn't going to grow too much more. But Parson kind of reminds me. Now, I don't think he has quite the arm of DeAndre Francois, but Parson kind of reminds me of DeAndre Francois. Someone said Russell Wilson earlier, and okay, but Francois had a sick arm. It's actually it's so sad that we kind of never really got to see the real DeAndre Francois, and I don't think he quite has that arm. But just the kind of his build, and he's probably more thickly built than Francois, but just his height. Because DeAndre Francois was no more than 6 feet either. I think they used to list him at 6'2". I used to be like, there's no way DeAndre Francois is 6'2". Parson and Francois might be a very similar build. I think Francois had by far more arm talent, but Parson has arm talent. I don't think it's Francois, but it's good arm talent. Yes, sir. Okay. For real, Polk. Name something Thompson done since he's been on the Knolls besides filling the blowout. Yeah. He was the head coach the one night Mike Norvell got COVID. How'd that play? Thompson should have got fired right then for losing 50 to 10 or whatever that. Man. one of the QBs that lost the battle 23 will transfer for sure. Yeah, and again, it's not a knock on Mario or anything. It's just the game. It's just the way the game's played. You know, it's just the way the game's played. Guys ain't trying to sit, and if you lose the battle, you're out of here. Oh God, loading. I'm not doing that. I think Glenn might be better. I like Glenn. I'm not gonna lie to you. I like him. I don't know if he's better though. They say he struggled mightily at the Elite 11. Again, Elite 11 is not the end all be all, but if you can't even do some of these drills, like they said, Brock Glenn's his lows were lows. So I don't know. For Norvell to survive, hold on. King Max says, for Norvell to survive as the head coach of FSU, he has got to land a solid quarterback. Stop. Give me that. It might just save his job. Well, that's been my biggest criticism of his entire tenure has been the quarterback position. That's why Jordan Travis is so pivotal to everything Mike Norvell does in year 3. And I'm not just talking about wins and losses. For all intents and purposes, Jordan Travis is Mike Norvell's quarterback. He's had him for 3 years. He's developed him for 3 years. He's only won games with him for 3 years. Jordan Travis has to have a real season this year. We need Jordan Travis to break over 2,500 yards throwing. Again, for me personally, I think 3,200 yards total for Jordan Travis should be the minimum expectation. And I'm talking like, I don't know, 2,600 yards passing and 600-yard running or some variation of that. And maybe 30 total touchdowns, 10 on the ground, what? Go. Some 20 yards through the air, 10 on the ground, something like that. Something like that. If Jordan Travis balls, I think people look at Mike Norvell and have some faith left in him. But Jordan Travis got to do something. And Mike's had 3 years to figure out what is it we can do with Jordan Travis. It's his release. Ricky will have to work on it. Doesn't look natural. Only time you hear about Thompson is when people are complaining about him. This guy has done maybe 2 interviews his entire time here. But Ricky is ranked higher, so Parsons isn't better. I like our wide receivers. They said Dustin Hill is waiting for Dubins to get fired before he comes. Some of the FSU fans got to worry more about the tape than the rankings. If the rankings were accurate, Manning wouldn't be the number 1 QB. That's arguable. That's kind of arguable. I don't know. I get why a lot of people are saying that. When I watch Manning, Archie, I'm impressed. But I also put into account, I think Archie plays at a private school. He doesn't have the highest competition. But when I watch Archie, I like what I see as far as his mechanics, which of course he would have great mechanics because of who his family members are. So that's me. Would you take a loss? No, I'm not even gonna. I don't even need to read the rest of that because in no way can you take a loss to Duquesne. I don't care if you beat Florida, Miami, and Clemson after that. You can't lose to Duquesne. If Mike loses to Duquesne, he doesn't survive past that game. So no. Sorry. No. If in practice or against minor opponents we find a QB that has great throwing evasion ability, put him in. I'm so sick of having to run first, take sack first. Quarterback. Is Duffy the real guy? I like Duffy. I don't know. When you say the real guy, what do you mean? If we can be patient with Duffy, I think Duffy would be just fine. I don't know if you're trolling Timmy or if you're being honest and that you're just actually saying that because a guy's ranked better, that he's a take. I think you're trolling. I should be there too, man. I should be down there too.
What happened to this?
You broke it.
I broke it. Why did I do that?
Yeah, I agree there. At least we get an easy week 1 game. So I think we talked about it all, man. We talked about Parson, recruiting. Of course, we spent majority of time on this new college realignment, and everybody's excited for that. My throat's getting dry. That's the thing, though, King Mac. We've been told that that's not the offense Norvell wants to run. That it's what he's been forced to run. So I don't know. I still don't know. I still don't know that Ricky's better because he's established 4-star. Parson is not. So take Ricky instead. All right, so are you saying that's the case for Adrian? We'll close the door for me. Are you saying that's the case for every prospect? So I'm just curious, Timmy. Are we recruiting the stars? Are you saying that for every prospect, or are you just simply saying it for these 2 in particular players? I guess is my question to you. I don't think Norvell's the guy for y'all, but obviously I don't know more about FSU. I just think it's unacceptable to have losing season at FSU. Let alone, too, are they gonna play Duffy's song when Duffy takes the field? Yeah, I figured. Because it just didn't sound right. What you were saying. I'm like, that just doesn't sound right.
Daddy.
Yes, sir.
Something that I said to me.
Yeah, bring it to me. It just didn't sound right to me. But yeah, man, I'm gonna hopefully get a chance to it's good for now. Hopefully get a chance, man, to maybe do some more stuff with some other guys. And just, me, y'all know me, man. I get on here and talk this Florida State talk like I do. And coming in the next couple weeks, like, believe it or not, y'all, I'm still in the moving process. Like, we still haven't even closed on this house, but we should be closing soon. And we just got, I got a lot still going on, but I'm trying to give y'all the content, especially when stuff like this happens, man. I got to get out there and try to make as many videos as I can, man. And I appreciate you, King Mac, for even showing up, honestly. Appreciate all y'all for showing up, man. Hit that like button. I ain't going to take up too much more time of y'all's Saturday nights. It's already 10 o'clock on the East Coast. It's 9 o'clock here Central Time in Texas. So I'm not going to waste too much more of you guys' time. Appreciate y'all for joining. Obviously. Like, that's not even a question. Obviously. Yeah. If we get POLK and some of these guys, I'll definitely be talking about that going forward. LSU and FSU's way too early predictions. I don't know if it's way too early, man. We're getting close. Jalen. I don't know how early it is. But I like our chances, man. I like our chances. Later, FSU fans, keep doing what y'all do best and finish on the 500. But man, everybody hit the like button. And I see everybody clicking out now. So, as always, it's your boy POLK over on 863 Seminole TV. Stay classy, Seminoles. Go Noles. And we out here.